chosen one. Stop right now, not because something terrible is about to happen, but because something precious almost slipped past you unnoticed. You were about to keep moving on autopilot, doing what you always do: endure, adjust, survive. And heaven stepped in, not with thunder, but with restraint. This is not urgency for drama's sake. This is restraint for your protection. You have been pushing yourself to just get through it. Through the workday, through the bills, through the conversations that drain you, through the nights where your mind won't shut off even though your body is exhausted. You told yourself, once this season passes, I'll rest. But deep down, you feel it, this season keeps stretching. And God is saying, stop trying to outrun what must be understood. This pause is not weakness, it is wisdom. Right now, your life may look stable on the outside, but internally there is a quiet erosion. You still function, but joy feels muted. Motivation flickers on and off. You can't tell if you're discouraged or just tired of being strong. That's because you've been carrying weight you were never meant to carry alone. Look at your job. You may not hate it, but it no longer feeds you. You show up, you perform, you deliver results. But something inside you knows you're operating below your calling. You've been faithful, yet overlooked, competent, yet underestimated. And lately, you've been tempted to compromise your values, your integrity, your peace, just to stay afloat. God stopped you here because promotion without alignment becomes a prison. Or consider your finances. You're not reckless, yet pressure keeps knocking. You budget, you plan, but one unexpected expense sends you spiraling. It's not the lack of money that exhausts you, it's the constant vigilance. The feeling that you can't relax because something might go wrong. God is not shaming you for this. He's inviting you to release control where trust is required. Even at home, the weight follows you. You love your family, but you feel unseen. You listen, you support, you show up, but who checks on you? Who asks how you are really doing? You've become so reliable that people forget you also need rest. And when you finally feel frustration rise, you silence it, telling yourself, others have it worse. But minimizing your pain doesn't heal it. This is where God intervenes, not after collapse, but before it. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 46, verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God." Not do more, not try harder. Be still. Stillness is not inactivity. It is surrender. It is the courage to stop reacting long enough to recognize who is actually in control. God does not reveal himself in chaos you manufacture to feel productive. He reveals himself in clarity. Here is the truth you may not want to hear. Some of what you call responsibility is actually fear in disguise. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of falling behind. Fear of losing relevance. And fear keeps you busy but disconnected. Let me ask you, plainly remember the last decision you made without peace. What did it cost you afterward? This is the downbeat moment, the honest one. Because if you don't face this now, you'll repeat it later with higher stakes. But here's the rise hope that has shape, not slogans. Hope looks like this tomorrow. You choose one boundary at work and honor it without apology. Hope looks like writing down your finances, not to judge yourself, but to regain authority over them. Hope looks like telling someone you trust, "I'm not okay." Instead of pretending strength is endless, God is not asking you to abandon your responsibilities. He's asking you to stop replacing him with them. You are not behind in life. You are ahead of disaster because you listened when God whispered instead of waiting for him to shout. This message reached you before burnout, before regret, before compromise. That alone tells you something about how closely heaven is watching your steps. If this moment anchored you even slightly, like the video, share it with someone who has been carrying silent pressure. and subscribe so you don't miss what unfolds next. Staying connected is not about content, it's about continuity. Now breathe again, slowly. You are still chosen, still guided, still protected. And if you recognize that this pause was necessary, comment 88 below, not for visibility, but as a personal signal. I choose stillness over strain. You have always sensed it, that quiet knowing that you were not built to disappear into the background. Even when you tried to be normal, something in you resisted, not loudly, not rebelliously, just enough to make you uncomfortable living small. You didn't ask to be different, you simply are, you. And that difference has shaped your entire life. From early on, you noticed how easily others followed the crowd. Trends, opinions, lifestyles. You watched people adopt beliefs without questioning them, chase goals without understanding why, and call it success. Meanwhile, you hesitated not out of fear but out of discernment. You needed things to make sense at a deeper level, and because of that, you often felt slow or out of step. But you weren't behind, you were discerning. This showed up strongly in your work life. You may have taken longer to choose a career path, or changed directions when something felt empty even if it looked impressive. People called you picky or unfocused. They didn't see the internal compass guiding you away from paths that would have crushed your spirit. You weren't confused, you were unwilling to sell your soul for stability. Financially, this pattern followed you. You didn't chase money recklessly. You didn't gamble your future for quick gains. Because you refused shortcuts. Growth sometimes felt slower. There were moments you questioned yourself, why does everyone else seem to move ahead faster? What you didn't see was that restraint was shaping your character long before it shaped your bank account. In your family, the difference may have been painful. You were the one who thought differently, asked questions no one wanted to answer. Instead of being understood, you were labeled difficult. So you learned to stay quiet, to keep peace at the cost of authenticity. Over time, that silence became heavy. Here is the truth: many chosen ones face rejection doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from familiarity. So you adapted. You learned how to blend in just enough to survive. You nodded when you disagreed. You downplayed convictions to avoid tension. It worked on the surface, but inside, something felt wrong, livable, but uncomfortable. That discomfort was not a flaw, it was a signal. The Apostle Peter wrote in his first letter, chapter 2, verse 9, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light." You were called out, not blended in. Being chosen does not mean being superior. It means being set apart for responsibility. Responsibility often brings isolation before influence. That's why conformity never satisfies you. You were meant to carry light, not dissolve into the crowd. Let me ask you directly, where in your life are you still shrinking to avoid standing out? This is the low point, the realization that you may have traded pieces of yourself for acceptance. Stayed in rooms that dimmed you because leaving felt risky. Silenced convictions because being misunderstood felt painful. But here is where hope rises. Hope looks like choosing honesty over approval at work, aligning financial goals with values instead of comparison, allowing distance from relationships that only accept a diluted version of you, not out of bitterness, but clarity. You are not losing people, you are outgrowing misalignment. God did not design you to be easily categorized. That's why people struggle to place you. You carry depth in shallow spaces and vision in routine systems. What feels like a burden now is preparation. You don't need to become someone else to belong. You need to become fully yourself to be effective. Your difference is not the problem. It is the assignment. You are stepping into a season where clarity replaces confusion. What once felt like isolation will begin to make sense as alignment forms. You will recognize that being set apart was never punishment, but positioning for impact beyond comfort. Expect subtle shifts first. Conversations change. Opportunities appear that match your values. You feel lighter saying no. These are signs of inner authority returning quietly, steadily without forcing doors or chasing validation from people who never understood you. Stand firm now. The ground beneath you is stabilizing. What you honor in this moment shapes what you lead later. Keep choosing truth over fitting in, depth over noise, obedience over approval. This path narrows, but it leads forward, not backward. There is a war you were never taught how to name. It doesn't shout, it doesn't threaten, it doesn't even sound evil. It speaks softly, reasonably, invisibly. And because of that, it has influenced more decisions in your life than you realize. These are the invisible voices, not audible voices, but inner narratives. Thoughts that repeat, impressions that feel logical, emotional reactions that seem justified. They don't announce where they come from. They simply arrive, dressed as your own thinking. And if you are not trained to discern them, you will obey them without question. Some of these voices sound like pressure. Don't wait any longer when you're falling behind. If you don't act now, you'll lose everything. Others sound like false humility. Who do you think you are? Stay quiet. Don't make it awkward. And some sound like responsibility. You have to fix this. If you don't hold it together, everything will fall apart. Here is the danger. None of these voices feel dramatic. They feel familiar. And familiarity is how deception gains permission. Let's bring this into everyday life. At work, an invisible voice pushes you to respond to emails immediately, even late at night, even when your body is exhausted. It tells you that rest equals laziness, that boundaries equal disloyalty. You obey it, thinking you're being diligent, but slowly, your peace erodes. In finances, another voice whispers comparison. It scrolls through your phone with you. It points out what others have. It subtly pressures you to spend, upgrade, prove, not out of joy, but out of fear of being left behind. In relationships, there is a voice that urges silence. It says, don't say how you really feel. Keep the peace. You'll deal with it later. And later never comes. Only distance does. None of these voices announce themselves as wrong. That's why discernment is not about volume, it's about source. This is why obedience becomes critical, not loud obedience, not performative obedience, but quiet obedience. The kind no one applauds, the kind that happens internally before it ever shows externally. Scripture speaks directly to this battle. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Notice something important. God's voice is described as behind you, not rushing you forward, not dragging you anxiously. It guides, it steadies, it clarifies direction, not panic. Here is a practical way to begin recognizing the difference. Invisible voices demand urgency. God's voice produces clarity. Invisible voices accuse. God's voice convicts without crushing. Invisible voices rush decisions. God's voice allows confirmation. So when a thought enters your mind, don't ask, "Does this make sense?" Ask, "Does this bring peace or pressure?" This is where learning obedience in silence matters. Silent obedience looks like not defending yourself when you're tempted to over-explain. It looks like delaying a response instead of reacting emotionally. It looks like choosing not to post, not to prove, not to announce every step. For example, when a conflict arises at home, silent obedience may mean stepping away to pray before speaking. Not because you're weak, but because timing matters. Words spoken too early can sabotage truth. In your finances, silent obedience may mean saying no to an opportunity that looks good on paper but feels unsettled in your spirit. You don't owe anyone an explanation for obedience. At work, it may mean doing the right thing even when shortcuts would go unnoticed. Integrity practiced quietly becomes authority later. Let me ask you a direct question. Which voice have you been obeying most lately? The one that pressures or the one that steadies? This is the low point, the realization that some exhaustion is not from doing too much, but from listening to the wrong guide. But here is the rise. Once you slow down enough to listen, God does not shout over the noise. You begin to hear him through the noise. Small redirections, gentle checks, subtle peace when you choose restraint. You will notice something change. Decisions feel lighter. You don't need instant outcomes to feel secure. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't have access to your assignment. Obedience in silence strengthens spiritual hearing, and spiritual hearing determines spiritual survival. Before we move forward, I want you to mark this moment, not publicly, not dramatically, but intentionally. Comment "I choose obedience" below, not as a ritual, as a declaration, because naming a decision makes you accountable to it. It reminds you what voice you agreed to follow when pressure returns. This section is not about perfection, it's about alignment. You don't need to silence every voice. You need to recognize which one leads to life and walk that way. Even when no one is watching, there comes a moment when mercy no longer feels gentle. Not because God has changed, but because you are standing closer to the edge of consequence. This is not condemnation. This is clarity. Mercy does not chase forever. It waits, it warns, and then it allows you to choose. You are in that moment now. You have sensed it in subtle ways. A hesitation before decisions that used to feel automatic. A heaviness when you consider repeating old patterns. A quiet discomfort when you try to justify what no longer aligns. This is not fear. This is discernment sharpening. Many misunderstand mercy. They think mercy means endless delay without cost. But mercy is time with instruction. It is space to turn before momentum hardens into direction. Look at your daily rhythms. There are habits you've outgrown, yet they cling to you because they feel familiar. Scrolling late at night when your spirit is tired. Saying yes when your body whispers enough. Revisiting conversations that drain you because silence feels unfamiliar. These are not failures, but they are signals. At work, mercy may show up as dissatisfaction. You still perform, still function, but fulfillment has quietly stepped away. God is not trying to make you miserable. He is preventing you from building a future on autopilot. Comfort without calling eventually becomes captivity. Financially, mercy often looks like restraint. Doors that slow instead of swing open. Opportunities that collapse at the last moment. You may call this delay, but heaven may call it protection. Some increases come with weights your spirit is not meant to carry. Even in relationships, mercy speaks. You sense when certain connections no longer nourish you, but you hesitate to step back for fear of being misunderstood. Yet staying where your soul shrinks is far more dangerous than temporary solitude. This is where the spiritual tension rises, not loud, but firm. The ancient words recorded in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 25, still echo today. See to it that you do not refuse him who speaks. Not who shouts, who speaks. God is speaking now through pauses, through discomfort, through interruptions you didn't schedule. Refusing him rarely looks like rebellion. More often, it looks like distraction, delay, or endless reconsideration. Let me ask you plainly, what have you been postponing that you already know you're meant to face? This is the valley moment, the realization that grace has been generous, but time is meaningful. You are not being rushed, but you are being invited to choose deliberately. And here comes the rise. Hope here is not emotional, it is directional. Hope looks like finally laying down a habit that no longer feeds your future. Hope looks like restructuring your days to honor your inner life, not just your productivity. Hope looks like choosing truth over fragile peace, even if your voice trembles at first. When mercy is honored, strength follows. Now listen carefully, this part is not instruction, it is imagery. Some paths are lit only if you keep the lantern close. Some rivers stay clear only when you return to the source. Some journeys require you to walk with others not because you were told to, but because the light feels trustworthy. If this message has been a lamp rather than a demand, let it remain lit. Place your quiet mark of agreement by staying connected, as one chooses to keep a compass instead of wandering blind. If these words steadied you, allow them to travel further like bread broken and shared, not hoarded. And if you sense this path unfolding chapter by chapter, choose to remain where the map is still being drawn. Not pressure, not obligation, recognition. Mercy is still speaking, and you are still listening. You may not see the full road yet, but the ground beneath your feet is firm. Each step of obedience is quietly rearranging outcomes you cannot predict. What feels like waiting is actually alignment forming beneath the surface of your everyday choices. Soon, you will notice a shift in how you respond to pressure. What once rushed you will slow. What once confused you will clarify. This is how mercy matures, by teaching you to move with intention instead of reaction, with trust instead of strain. Stay present in this unfolding. Do not rush past it. The wisdom being built now will carry you through seasons that demand discernment. You are not just avoiding mistakes, you are being trained to walk steadily when others lose direction. Lot stood at a crossroads that looked ordinary, almost generous. Abram gave him first choice. No pressure, no argument, just land open, visible, measurable. Lot lifted his eyes and saw what looked right. Fertile plains, green fields, water everywhere. It resembled promise. It resembled wisdom. It resembled security. So he chose quickly. He did not choose rebellion. He chose what made sense, what looked productive, what felt efficient. And that is what makes his story dangerous, because many of the most damaging decisions are not sinful at first glance. They are simply short-sighted. Scripture records the moment clearly in the book of Genesis, chapter 13, verse 11. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east. Thus they separated from each other. Notice the detail. Lot chose for himself. No counsel, no pause, no prayer recorded, just sight-based wisdom. At first, the choice paid off. The land was rich. Opportunities multiplied. Resources were close. It looked like acceleration. While Abram stayed in the hills, Lot moved toward cities, toward trade, toward influence, toward convenience. But proximity matters. Lot pitched his tents near Sodom long before he lived in it. Compromise rarely arrives fully formed. It arrives gradually, disguised as adaptation. You don't wake up one day far from your values, you walk there in steps that feel reasonable. This story is not ancient history, it is a mirror. In modern life, you face the same kind of choices. At work, you are offered a role that pays more but drains your spirit. The culture feels off, but the benefits are strong. You tell yourself it's temporary, strategic, smart. You move closer, not fully in, but close enough that over time becomes normal. Boundaries blur and integrity starts negotiating. In finances, you choose speed over sustainability, an investment that promises quick return, a lifestyle upgrade that stretches your margin thin. It looks wise on paper. Others applaud it, but deep down, you feel tension instead of peace. In relationships, you stay close to people who normalize behavior you once questioned. You don't agree with everything, but you don't disagree either. You adapt, you tolerate, you pitch your tent near environments that slowly reshape your standards. Lot didn't wake up in destruction. He walked into it gradually. Let me ask you a direct question. What choice in your life right now looks productive but feels spiritually quiet? That silence matters. This is the low point of the section, the realization that wisdom without discernment can still lead you somewhere dangerous. That visible gain can hide invisible cost. That what looks like blessing may only be testing your priorities. But here comes the rise. Because God does not expose this to shame you, He reveals it to redirect you. Abram, who seemed to choose less, ended up with more. Not immediately, not visibly, but deeply. God expanded His territory after the separation, after restraint, after trust. The lesson is clear: long-term alignment always outlives short-term advantage. Hope, in this context, becomes very practical. Hope looks like pausing before accepting the next offer, not because you're afraid, but because you want clarity. Hope looks like choosing steady progress over impressive appearances. Hope looks like moving your tent away from what dulls your conviction, even if it costs convenience. You are allowed to choose differently. You are allowed to say, "This looks good, but it's not good for me." You are allowed to value peace over expansion. You are allowed to trust that what God has for you will not require you to shrink spiritually to sustain it. Lot lost more than land. He lost perspective, influence, protection. His wife lost direction. His family paid the price for a decision that once looked wise. This is not to frighten you, it is to sharpen you. You are not standing at a dramatic crossroads, but you are standing at a defining one. The direction you lean now will shape the weight you carry later. So before you decide, lift your eyes, but don't only look at what grows fast. Look at what stays holy. Look at what keeps you free. God is less interested in how far you go than in who you become along the way. And if this story has revealed something quietly specific in your life, something you need to reconsider, mark this moment with intention. Comment 53 below. Not for visibility, but as a private signal to yourself, I choose discernment over appearance. Because not every green valley is meant to be claimed, and not every smart move leads to a safe future. There is a season every chosen one enters where silence becomes heavier than noise. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of waiting without explanation. You pray, but answers come slowly. You move carefully, but clarity feels delayed. And in that space, a quiet temptation emerges to take control where patience is required. This is the season where many lose their footing, not through rebellion, but through impatience disguised as responsibility. You have already learned how to recognize false voices. You have learned to choose discernment over appearance. Now comes a deeper lesson, learning how to wait without weakening. Waiting is not passive, it is active restraint. In everyday life, this looks uncomfortable. At work, you know you are capable of more. You feel underutilized. You could push, force, maneuver. You could campaign for position or make your value loudly known. But something in you hesitates, not from fear, but from wisdom. You are learning that being ready does not always mean being released. Financially, this season tests you as well. You may have the discipline, the plans, the ideas, but timing resists you. Funds don't stretch as far as you hoped. Growth feels slower than expected, and the pressure whispers. Do something. Anything. But haste here would cost more than delay ever could. In relationships, silence becomes especially challenging. You want resolution, you want clarity, you want to explain yourself, to be understood. Yet every attempt feels premature, so you are asked to hold your tongue, not because your truth is wrong, but because timing determines whether truth heals or wounds. This is where obedience deepens. Obedience in action is visible. Obedience in waiting is invisible. And invisible obedience builds the strongest foundations. Scripture speaks powerfully to this kind of season, as the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. It will surely come and will not delay. Notice the paradox. It lingers, but it does not delay. What feels slow to you is still precise to God. Nothing is drifting. Nothing is forgotten. Timing is being calibrated beyond what you can see. This explains why forcing outcomes right now feels exhausting. You are pushing against timing, not resistance, and timing always wins. The low point here is honest waiting exposes insecurity. It reveals where you derive worth from activity instead of alignment. It confronts the fear that if you don't move, you'll be left behind. But here is the rise. When you stay still long enough, something changes inside you. You become less reactive, less anxious about outcomes. You stop measuring progress by visibility and start measuring it by peace. Decisions become cleaner. Distractions lose their grip. You begin to notice subtle confirmations, small reassurances, strength where you expected restlessness. This is maturity forming. Waiting trains discernment at a deeper level. It teaches you to separate urgency from importance. It shows you which desires are from fear and which are from faith. In practical terms, this looks like refining instead of expanding, improving systems instead of chasing opportunities, strengthening character instead of image. It looks like preparing quietly for doors that have not opened yet but will. You are not being withheld from progress. You are being protected from premature exposure. Some assignments collapse when revealed too early. Some responsibilities crush those not yet rooted. God is not delaying you. He is fortifying you. This season also reveals who can walk with you without constant explanation. Silence filters relationships. Some drift because they require constant reassurance. Others remain because they recognize growth happening beneath the surface. This is not loss, it is alignment. And yes, it is uncomfortable. Growth almost always is. But understand this, what you are learning now. Patience, restraint, trust cannot be rushed. These qualities are not added later. They are formed now in the quiet when no one is watching. Soon enough, movement will return. Direction will sharpen. Doors will open without force. When that happens, you will not scramble, you will step forward with steadiness. Until then, remain grounded. Stillness is not stagnation. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not weakness. It is preparation, and those who remember how to wait will know how to lead when the moment arrives. You are standing at the edge of integration now. Not a beginning, not an ending, but a becoming. Everything you have walked through has been training your inner posture, not just your outer choices. Discernment sharpened you. Silence strengthened you. Waiting grounded you. And now something subtle but real is happening inside. You are no longer rushing to arrive. You are learning how to carry what is coming. This is where many misunderstand the journey of the chosen one. They think the reward is speed, visibility, or applause, but the real reward is stability. The kind that doesn't collapse when pressure rises. The kind that doesn't disappear when seasons shift. You are not being shaped for a moment, you are being prepared for endurance. Look at your life now compared to before. You respond differently. You pause where you used to react. You weigh decisions instead of escaping discomfort. You no longer need constant confirmation to trust your direction. That is growth you cannot fake. In your work, this shows up as quiet authority. You don't announce your value anymore, you demonstrate it consistently. You don't chase every opportunity, you discern which ones align. And even when recognition lags, your confidence no longer depends on it. You know who you are becoming. In your finances, something has settled. You still plan, you still care. But panic has loosened its grip. You are less impressed by appearances and more committed to sustainability. You think in terms of stewardship, not comparison. That shift alone protects your future more than any sudden increase. In your relationships, you have become more honest with yourself first. You no longer force closeness where alignment is missing. You value peace over proximity. And while your circle may be smaller, it is steadier. You are learning that depth always costs quantity. This is not isolation, this is refinement. And now comes a final reminder, not loud, not dramatic, but anchoring. The ancient words recorded in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 11. Speak plainly. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Trained, not rushed, not spared, trained. What you endured was not wasted. The resistance, the restraint, the recalibration, it all shaped your capacity, and capacity determines how much you can carry without breaking. This is the final low point to acknowledge you did not choose the easy road. You chose the honest one, and honesty always costs more up front. But here is the rise, the quiet, satisfying rise. You are no longer afraid of the future, curious, yet expectant, maybe, but not frantic. You trust that what approaches will meet a version of you that is ready, not scrambling. You don't need to announce this shift. You don't need to convince anyone. Those who are meant to recognize it will feel it, like gravity, like calm in a storm. Now imagine this moment like a quiet room with an open journal resting on the table. Some pass by and feel something stir, then move on. Others pause long enough to leave a trace, one line, one mark, so they remember they were here. If these words steadied you, let your quiet agreement be like placing a stone on the path, an unseen sign that says, I was here, and this mattered. If you sense someone you love is still walking without clarity, let this message reach them the way light passes through a window, never forced, simply shared. And if this voice has become familiar because it keeps guiding you back to truth, choose to remain near it, like returning to a well that has never given you bitter water. Nothing here is demanded. Everything here is recognized. Because the most meaningful connections are never commanded, they are chosen. You are not finishing something here. You are carrying it forward. Steady, grounded, prepared. And whatever comes next, you will meet it whole. Not hurried, not fractured, but formed. You do not need to rush away from this moment. Let it settle like morning light filling a room, slow and certain. What was planted through these words will continue working quietly, shaping choices, strengthening resolve, guiding you when noise returns and clarity feels harder to reach. Carry this awareness gently into your days. Let it inform how you listen, how you decide, how you wait. You are not meant to remember every word, only the posture it awakened. That posture will recognize truth again, even when the path curves and the way forward feels hidden. We will leave this ending open, the way meaningful things often are. If these words have been useful to you, let them move beyond you, not loudly, not urgently, but naturally, like water that overflows a cup and finds another place to settle. If someone you know is walking with questions similar to yours, you may choose to pass this along, not as an answer, but as a companion for their own reflection. And if you feel no need to share it, that is just as honest. You are allowed to keep what touched you and leave the rest behind. Some messages are meant to travel far. Others are meant to stay close, tucked quietly into the inner life of one person. Both have value. Perhaps one line stayed with you. Perhaps one image lingered. Perhaps one question surfaced that you have not yet answered. You do not need to resolve it now. Let it remain unfinished. Let it breathe. Let it walk with you into ordinary moments, into work days. Conversations, decisions that seem small but are not. Meaning often reveals itself later, when you are not actively looking for it. If nothing in this message resonated, that is also okay. Not every word is meant for every season. You lose nothing by walking away with discernment intact. But if something did reach you quietly, unexpectedly, honor that. Protect it from noise. Revisit it when you need steadiness. Let it shape how you listen, how you pause, how you choose. This ending does not ask for agreement. It does not demand response. It simply leaves space. What you do with that space is yours alone. Some will close this and move on. Some will sit for a moment longer. Some will return another day. All of those choices are valid. The path continues either way, and you will meet it carrying whatever truth you decided to keep.